Bryson had always believed silence was harmless, but the silence Austin gave him felt like a blade pressed to his neck. And on the night everything in our office turned upside down, I finally learned why that silence had followed me for months. I remember the first moment I saw him. Not the kind of seeing where eyes land on a stranger and move on. No, it was the kind where your breath stumbles because something in the world changes, quietly and permanently. He walked into the conference room like he carried his own gravity. Austin never tried to be intimidating, but he was. Not because of any harsh expression, but because he felt unreadable. His face hid more than it revealed, like his emotions were locked behind glass only he had the key to. And God, he was beautiful. But beauty was never the problem. The problem was that he looked at me like I was a storm he didn't want to get caught in. From day one he avoided me. Conversations with others? Normal. Conversations with me? Non-existent unless absolutely necessary. Every email he sent me was cold, clipped, professional to the point of sounding annoyed, even if all I'd done was ask for a file. Every meeting we shared felt like he was forcing himself not to look my way. Everyone noticed. People whispered things like, "He seriously hates you. What did you do to him? Maybe he just has a problem with new hires." I never had an answer because we had never even interacted before the day we started working together. Yet somehow, every time something went wrong in the office, Austin mysteriously appeared nearby. Too nearby? If someone snapped at me, he'd show up in the doorway a moment later. When a client raised his voice at me, Austin was suddenly in the room, stepping closer like he was ready to intervene. When a stack of heavy boxes nearly crushed my hand in the storage room, he pulled me back so fast I didn't even process the danger until after I felt the warmth of his hand wrapping around my arm. Then he pulled away like touching me had burned him. I was left standing there wondering how someone could be so cold and yet act like saving me was his duty. That contradiction dug itself into my mind and refused to leave. And slowly, I became obsessed with the question, why does he hate me so much if he keeps protecting me? One night, when everyone else had already left, I stayed late finalizing a pitch deck. I was exhausted and hungry and wishing desperately that I could go home, but I told myself one more slide, just one more, even though my eyes felt like sandpaper. The soft hum of the building at night always unsettled me, but that evening it felt different. Like something was off, something I couldn't place. The lights flickered not enough to alarm, but enough to feel wrong. I stood up to stretch, rubbing my temples, when I heard it. A sound in the hallway. Too sharp, too deliberate. Footsteps. Not the normal kind. Heavy, slow, pausing between each step like whoever was out there was listening. I froze. Maybe it was security, I told myself. Maybe someone forgot something. But the footsteps grew closer and stopped just outside the glass door. My breath hitched. I didn't dare move. Then the doorknob shifted. I stumbled back instinctively, heart pounding so violently I felt dizzy. My hand reached for my phone, but before I could grab it, the door burst open with such force the wall shuddered. And standing there, chest heaving, eyes blazing with something that wasn't anger but pure panic, was Austin. He scanned the room in half a second, then locked eyes with me. "Bryson," he breathed, his voice low and strained. "We need to go. Now." I blinked at him, disoriented. What is happening? Austin didn't answer. He grabbed my wrist not harshly but urgently and pulled me toward the hallway. I felt the heat of his palm against my skin, the tremor in his fingers, the desperation beneath his composure. "Austin, what is going on?" I insisted, stumbling to keep up with his long strides. He didn't look back. Someone was in the building. Someone who shouldn't be. My blood turned to ice. "But why are you here so late?" I asked. "You were supposed to be off hours ago." His silence returned, the one I hated, but this time it came with something else. Something raw. Fear. Not for himself. For me. We turned a corner, almost running now, and the hallway lights flickered again. I caught the faint reflection of Austin in the glass walls, jaw tense, brows furrowed, eyes scanning every shadow. "Austin," I whispered, breathless. "Why are you protecting me?" That made him stop. He froze so suddenly I bumped into his back. His hand tightened around mine for a moment before he slowly turned to face me. His expression twisted, like the words he held were fighting to stay locked inside him. "Because someone has been watching you," he said. "Following you. Sending threats to the company. Everything I have done, all of it, has been to keep you safe." The building felt colder. The world felt smaller. "Threats to me? Why me? What did I ever do?" "You exist," he said softly. "That is enough for some people to hate." His gaze softened, not the cold indifference I had grown used to, but something warmer, something terrifyingly vulnerable. And I have been trying to stop them. For the first time, I saw the truth he had been hiding behind his quietness. He didn't hate me, not even close. He cared. He cared so much it hurt him. I opened my mouth to speak, but before any words could form, a loud crash echoed down the hallway. Austin immediately stepped in front of me, shielding me with his body as the sound reverberated through the walls. "Stay behind me," he ordered, voice steady but breath shallow. And for once, I didn't argue. We moved again, faster, Austin guiding me toward the emergency stairs. Every instinct screamed at me that this wasn't just someone messing around. This was real. Danger real. Life-altering real. The stairwell door creaked as we pushed through it. Darkness swallowed us except for the dim red glow of the exit signs. We started descending, and with every step, Austin kept glancing back as if checking to make sure I was still there. Then came a sound that made every muscle in my body go rigid. Footsteps above us. Multiple. Heavy. Rushing. Austin muttered something under his breath that sounded a lot like a word he wasn't supposed to say at work. Then he grabbed my arm again and pulled me faster. We reached the next landing when a voice echoed from the floor above. "You can't hide him forever." Austin stiffened. I felt his hand shake. "I don't understand," I whispered. "Why me? Why would anyone target me?" Austin turned, eyes burning with a mixture of anger and something heartbreakingly protective. "Because they know I care about you." My breath vanished. He had never said anything remotely close to that before, and hearing it now, when we were inches from danger, made the air around us feel charged. Before I could speak, the footsteps grew louder. Austin made a split-second decision, pulled me into the maintenance room beside the stairwell, and shut the door quietly behind us. The space was small, barely enough for the two of us. So close we were almost touching. His chest rose and fell rapidly. So did mine. "Bryson," he whispered, voice strained. "I need you to trust me right now. Can you?" I swallowed hard. I should have been afraid. Maybe I was. But standing in that shadowed room with him, feeling the fear he carried for me, made something inside me shift. "Yes," I said. "I trust you." His shoulders dropped slightly. Not in relief exactly, but in something deeper. "Thank you," he whispered. The footsteps outside the door slowed. Paused. I held my breath. Austin pressed a finger to his lips, then gently moved me behind him again. Even in the dark, his protective stance was unmistakable. He would put himself between me and danger without even thinking twice. And that was the moment I realized something. I had been wrong about him from the beginning. Completely, devastatingly wrong. He never hated me. The footsteps faded. Silence returned, but this time it was suffocating in a different way. Austin exhaled shakily. "We are not safe here. We need to get to the lower-level garage. I have someone waiting to help us." "Someone you knew this would happen." "I knew it might," he admitted. "And I knew they would come for you eventually." I felt dizzy. None of this made sense, but everything inside me told me I didn't have time to process it. So I followed him. Down staircases, through dim corridors, past offices that looked eerie in the nighttime glow. Every time something creaked or shifted, Austin moved closer to me. Every time fear clawed at my chest, he anchored me with a whisper. "It's okay. I'm here." But the truth was far from okay. Because as we reached the door to the garage, everything changed. A figure stepped into the doorway, blocking our exit completely. Austin stopped dead. So did my heart. "There you are," the man said, his voice cold and amused. "Took long enough." Austin pushed me gently behind him for what felt like the 1,000th time that night. "Stay back," he warned the man. "You don't want to do this." The man smiled, chilling and deliberate. "You've been getting in the way for months, Austin. But tonight you won't stop me." Something in Austin's posture shifted, not fear, but fury. A quiet, lethal kind. "You're not touching him." The man stepped forward. "Then let's see you stop me." And in that single moment, I understood. This wasn't just a coworker dynamic gone wrong. This wasn't misunderstanding or tension or two people who didn't get along. This was a story about protection, about silent battles I never knew were being fought for me, about someone who cared so deeply he hid it even from himself. And I had only just begun to understand what Austin truly meant to me. The air in the garage felt colder than the rest of the building, like the concrete itself absorbed fear. Austin stepped forward slowly, placing his body firmly between me and the intruder. Even with danger inches away, his voice carried a quiet strength. "You do not want to do this," he repeated, lower this time, more controlled. The man tilted his head, amused. "Oh, I really do. You have no idea how long I've waited for this." I felt my pulse hammering in my throat. We were trapped. The only exit was behind the man, and the stairwell door. Austin and I stood and had no lock. If he reached us before Austin could react. Austin shifted slightly, anchoring me behind his shoulder. He was tense, but not afraid. Focused. Ready. I had never seen him like this before, like a man revealing a part of himself he had always kept hidden. "Why are you doing this?" I asked, my voice shaking despite my efforts. The man finally looked at me. His smile vanished, replaced by something sharp and hateful. "Because he protects you." A chill ran through me, so deep it felt like it reached bone. Austin took a small step forward. "If you touch him, you are not leaving this garage." The man huffed a laugh. Brave. Stupid, but brave. The next second happened so fast my brain almost failed to process it. The man reached into his jacket. Austin lunged. He collided with the man with such force the entire garage echoed with the impact. They stumbled, crashed into a parked car, metal groaning. Austin tried to pin the man's arm, trying to stop him from pulling out whatever he was reaching for. "Go, Bryson," Austin shouted. "Run." But I could not move. My legs refused. I watched in horror as the man broke free, elbowed Austin hard enough to knock him off balance, and reached again into his jacket. Austin saw it at the same time I did. He shoved the man backward, grabbed my wrist, and pulled me into a sprint across the garage. Behind us, the man yelled, and something metallic clattered onto the floor. Austin did not look back. He only tightened his grip on my wrist and ran faster. I heard footsteps pounding behind us. Closer. Too close. Austin pulled me toward a row of parked cars, weaving between them, using them as cover. He kept his body angled toward me, shielding me even while running. His breath came out harsh and fast, but his hold on me never faltered. "Austin," I gasped, unable to keep up. "I can't." "Yes, you can," he snapped, not unkindly but urgently. "Stay with me." We reached the far corner of the garage where a black SUV waited with its headlights off. A man stepped out of the driver's side at the sight of us. "Austin, get in." The voice was sharp, commanding. I had no idea who he was, but Austin clearly did. "Open the back," Austin ordered. The man yanked the door open just as the attacker rounded the row of cars behind us. Austin shoved me into the back seat, then turned toward the man approaching. "Get in, Austin," the driver barked. "Now." But Austin did not move. He stood facing the attacker, chest rising and falling, eyes locked onto him. The concrete floor between them felt like a fuse waiting for a spark. The attacker stepped closer. "You really think you can keep him away from me?" Austin did not blink. "Watch me." The attacker lunged. Austin dodged and slammed the SUV door shut to protect me. I hit the window with my palm. "Austin, run, just get in." The driver cursed, ran around to the other side, flung open the front door, and shouted, "Get in, you idiot, we do not have time for this." But Austin did not listen. He struck the attacker again, forcing him back. They grappled, their shoes scraping against the concrete. Austin moved with a precision I had never seen in him. Not rigid like someone afraid, fluid like someone trained. The attacker reached for his jacket again. No. Austin grabbed the man's arm, twisted it violently until the attacker cried out and the object in his hand dropped onto the ground again. Something metal. Something dangerous. The driver jumped out of the SUV with a flash of movement. He sprinted toward the object, kicked it across the floor, then grabbed Austin by the shoulder. "We have to go." Austin looked back at me through the window. His eyes burned with determination and fear, not for himself, but for me. He took one last swing at the attacker, enough to knock him onto one knee, then sprinted to the SUV. He dove inside. The driver slammed the door behind him, jumped into the front, and floored the accelerator. The SUV lurched forward. Tires screeched. The garage blurred around us as we sped toward the exit ramp. My breath still had not returned. My heart was somewhere high in my throat, pulsing so fast I could barely think. Austin leaned forward, breathing heavily, bracing himself with one hand on the seat in front of him. He looked shaken in a way I had never seen, but his eyes immediately found me. "Are you hurt?" he asked, voice raw. I shook my head. "No, I don't think so." He exhaled shakily and nodded. "Good." The driver shot him a glare. "You almost got yourself killed. Again." Austin ignored him. He kept staring at me like he needed to confirm I was still here, still breathing every 2 seconds. I swallowed hard. "Austin, what was that? Who was he? What is going on?" Austin leaned back against the seat, dragging a hand down his face. His chest was still heaving, but his voice slowly steadied. "His name is Carter. He used to work here. He was fired months ago, but he blames you." "Me? Why me?" "Because I stopped him from harassing you." I froze. "What?" Austin looked away, almost ashamed. "You never knew about it. I made sure you didn't. He was sending messages about you, talking about you, watching you. I reported him. I got him fired, and he has been looking for revenge ever since." My stomach twisted. "All this time you let me think you hated me." "I never hated you," he said quietly. "Not for 1 second. "Then why act like you did?" "Because caring about you made you a target. I thought keeping distance would make you safer." He ran a hand through his hair, shaking his head. "I was stupid. Clearly." I stared at him. Months of confusion, hurt, tension, all crumbling into something raw and overwhelming. "Austin." He finally met my eyes, his expression unguarded for the first time since I'd known him. "I would do anything to keep you safe," he whispered, "even if it meant you never knew how I really felt." The SUV sped through the city lights. The world outside was a streak of motion, but inside the car the air felt unbearably still, heavy, charged. I wanted to speak, to ask him what he meant, to tell him something I had never allowed myself to say out loud. But the driver interrupted. "We can't go to your place, and we can't go to his place either. They know where you both live." Austin nodded. "Take us to the safe house." "Safe house?" My voice cracked. "Why do you have a safe house?" Austin hesitated. "The truth is complicated." I let out a shaky breath. "Everything tonight is complicated." Austin looked at me again. Not cold, not distant, just real. "I promise I will explain everything," he said, "as soon as I know you are somewhere safe." The SUV turned down a side road. The city lights dimmed behind us. The night grew quieter, but inside the car something louder was building. Something that had been waiting between us for months. Something neither of us could run from anymore. The streets grew emptier as we drove farther from the city center. Buildings gave way to warehouses, then open stretches of quiet road that felt disconnected from the world we had just escaped. The hum of the engine was the only sound for several long minutes, and yet the silence between Austin and me felt louder than anything outside the car. I kept replaying everything in my head. The attack, the fear, the moment Austin stood in front of me like he would rather take a hit than ever let danger touch me. The confession he never meant to say, but could not hold back anymore. I would do anything to keep you safe. The words clung to me like heat under my skin. Austin rested his forearm on his knee, head bowed slightly, eyes fixed on the dark road ahead. He did not speak, but I could tell his mind was running just as fast as mine. The driver finally broke the silence. We can't stay long. The safe house is off-grid, but if Carter is desperate enough, he will find a way to track us. Austin nodded once. It will give us a little time. Enough to figure out the next move. Enough time for explanations. Enough time for truths neither of us had dared to touch. My throat felt tight. What kind of explanations are there? More people after me? Austin looked over his shoulder, meeting my gaze. His eyes softened. Not people, just him. He is obsessive and unstable, but he does not have help. You are not part of anything bigger than this. You were just unlucky enough to get his attention. His voice shook slightly, and unlucky enough to have me handle it badly. I took a small breath. Austin, you didn't handle it badly. You handled it alone. His jaw clenched, because I thought isolating you was the only way to keep you safe. I did not expect him to escalate like this. I should have known he would. You could have told me. He exhaled, the sound heavy. I know, but I was afraid. Afraid of what? He hesitated long enough that my heart stumbled in my chest. Of what would happen if I got close to you. His voice was quiet, almost ashamed, but there was no coldness in it now. No distance, just truth. Before I could find a response, the SUV slowed and turned down an unlit gravel path. Trees surrounded us, their branches forming dark shapes against the night sky. At the end of the path stood a small cabin, barely visible except for the faint glow of a porch light. The driver parked and killed the engine. We are here, he said simply. Austin stepped out first, checking the area before motioning for me to follow. The cold air hit me instantly. Crisp, sharp, so quiet it almost felt eerie. He walked beside me as the driver unlocked the front door. Inside, the cabin was simple. 2 rooms, a couch, a small kitchenette. It looked nothing like a place for danger, but everything like a place for running from it. The driver tossed Austin a phone. Secure line. Only call if it is life or death. I will keep watch outside until morning. Austin nodded. Thank you. The man gave a curt nod in return, then stepped outside, shutting the door behind him. The lock clicked. And suddenly, it was just the 2 of us. The cabin felt smaller than it had a moment before. Warmer. Too quiet. Austin ran a hand through his hair, exhaling slowly like he was finally letting himself feel the weight of the night. I sat on the edge of the couch. My hands trembled slightly, even though I tried to hide it. He noticed instantly. Are you cold? He asked. No, just overwhelmed. He walked toward me, hesitated, then sat on the coffee table directly in front of me, so we were eye level. Bryson, he said softly, I owe you the truth. I swallowed hard. All of it. He nodded. He took a breath, steadying himself. Months ago, Carter started making comments about you. At first small, stupid, things that made me uncomfortable. Then they got worse. More personal. I reported him. He was warned. He got angrier. Eventually, he was fired for harassment. After that, he disappeared. But last week, security picked up signs that he had tried entering the building at night. My stomach twisted. Why did no one tell me? Because I made sure they didn't, Austin said. I did not want you looking over your shoulder all day. I thought I could handle it. I thought he would give up. He shook his head. But he did not. I looked down at my hands. You should have told me, Austin. I could have been careful. I could have helped protect myself. Austin leaned forward, elbows on his knees. I know, but the idea of you being scared hurt more than keeping the secret. And I thought staying away from you meant he would back off. I thought if I made it look like we were nothing to each other, he would stop focusing on you. My breath caught. Nothing to each other, I repeated. His jaw tensed. You know that is not true. I lifted my eyes. Then what are we? He looked wrecked for a moment. like he had been holding the answer inside for far too long. "I care about you," he said quietly. "More than I ever planned to. More than makes sense. Enough that it scared me. Enough that I thought pushing you away would protect you." I stared at him, my pulse pounding everywhere at once. "Then why look at me like you wanted to disappear every time I was in the room?" "Because wanting you made everything dangerous," he admitted. "If Carter had figured out how I felt about you sooner, he would have fixated even worse. And he did anyway." My chest tightened at the rawness in his voice. "Austin," I whispered, "I thought you hated me. Every day?" He shook his head immediately. "Never. You have no idea how hard it was not to talk to you. Not to laugh with you. Not to even look at you longer than a second." He paused, then added softly, "And I looked anyway. Every time you weren't watching." My breath faltered. The room suddenly felt warmer. I leaned back slightly, not because I wanted distance, but because I needed air to breathe. "So what happens now?" Austin looked toward the door, the darkness outside, the long night waiting beyond it. "Now," he said slowly, "we keep you safe until Carter is caught. And in the meantime, if you want honest answers, I will give them. No more distance. No more silence. No more pretending." His eyes returned to mine. "If you want the truth, I will give you everything." I swallowed hard. My voice came out softer than I intended. "Then tell me this, did you really care about me from the beginning?" Austin reached out without touching, closing the distance between us only halfway. "From the first day you walked into that conference room." My heart tripped over itself. "And all this time I thought you hated me." He gave a small, sad smile. "I know, and I will spend as long as it takes making you understand I never did." Something inside me cracked open, and emotions surged through me all at once. Relief, anger, understanding, something deeper I did not dare name yet. Austin reached out slowly again. This time he let his hand hover just above mine, waiting for permission. I turned my hand palm up. He intertwined his fingers with mine gently, like he was afraid I might break. For the first time since I had known him, he did not pull away. "Bryson," he whispered, "I thought keeping my distance would protect you, but tonight proved I cannot keep you safe if I am standing on the outside. And I do not want to be on the outside anymore." My pulse thrummed in my ears. "Then don't be," I said. "Not anymore." Austin's breath shook and something warm flickered in his eyes. Outside the cabin, the night stretched cold and dark, but inside, in the small quiet space between our hands, something changed. Something long overdue and painfully real. For the first time, neither of us ran.